today I will talking about the transport through the cell membrane, that is cellular transport, and this will be your important chapter in physiology basic block. Physiology basic block, it is the very important chapter, and from this chapter uh, spotter, short notes and even long questions sometimes also may be asked, and viva and MCQ. So, this is very important topic in basic block physiology. So, I request you all to go through the detailed lectures. Transport through cell membrane. Cell membrane. Before entering transport, I will briefly review this membrane characteristics. Membrane characteristics, because these until and unless you will not know the membrane characteristics and physiology, the transport mechanism will be difficult to understand. Membrane characteristics, and also I will not go in detail because this is separate part characteristics, but the transport will be across the membrane. So, I will briefly talk about the membrane characteristics also. Characteristics, dear friends, you must be knowing that there are various theories about this membrane characteristics, like fluid mosaic model and other unit membrane model, and other different models are there, but more or less the theme of all theories are same, that membrane mainly is composed of the let's I will take here reference of the fluid mosaic model. Fluid mosaic model, which is most important cell membrane theory. Cell membrane theory, that this theory explains explains membrane is the lipid bilayer embedded with proteins. Proteins might be integral proteins, channel proteins, and some other types of the proteins. Receptor proteins like might be enzymes, in the form of enzymes, and then will be the in lipids mainly will be phospholipids and some other lipids also will be there, and cholesterol. Again, you should know that cholesterol is the important component of the cell membrane, because when cholesterol comes to in our mind, we think about only negative thing, that cholesterol is bad lipid, mainly the low density lipid, cholesterol, LDL. However, this cholesterol has important role uh, to maintain the membrane integrity also, and there will be some carbohydrates in conjugated form, like glycoproteins, glycolipids in that, and that will collectively call as a cell coat. You must be knowing cell coat. This cell coat, this cell coat, the is important for the recognition of the particular type of the cell. Recognition of particular type of cells. That is, in different cells, this cell codes, the carbohydrate component will be of different type, so that one type of cell can be differentiated from other type of the cell. And the function, you will be reading this in the function of the plasma membrane. So plasma membrane function or cell membrane is also called as plasma membrane, you know well. So I recommend you to go and please read the functions of the cell membrane. Some compositions I will be mentioning here. So let's sorry, I forgot the star. So let's explain these models in brief. Thus, according to this model, the membrane is the membrane is the membrane is uh, lipid bilayer with embedded embedded proteins embedded proteins, phospholipids, phospholipids, cholesterol, and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. The lipid will be mainly in the form of phospholipids, and some other types of lipids also. Also, so this model is also abbreviated as like lipid, sorry, protein, iceberg, protein icebergs in the sea of lipid, that is, the lipid will be like as the matrix, and this protein will be floating in that lipid matrix. And you also know that the membrane is not a particularly like thick form and constant thing. It is the membrane is dynamic and flexible. It is dynamic and flexible, not any uh, hard substance, it may be dynamic and flexible. The aim of this membrane will be the separating intracellular and extracellular component by making closed intracellular component, because in uh, In intracellular and extracellular environment, the ions or molecules or fluids will be in relative amount in like what is the need, which is more needed in intracellular component, that will be there, and what is not needed, that will be outside. Or uh, also in case of need of intracellular component, in intracellular component the limited SS will be given to move in and out of the particular substance. So the function of this plasma membrane will be maintain the integrity of the cell, particular cell, dynamic and flexible. But also this dynamic and flexible doesn't mean that like this will be uh, so permeable or easily disruptible, not. It will be selective permeable, semi permeable, and will not disrupt easily. Protein iceberg in the sea of lipid. So we can show that like this. Let's suppose I am making very rough figure, but please try to understand that this is this is lipid bilayer, lipid bilayer, lipid bilayer, and in lipid bilayer this head is this head is mainly hydrophilic component, hydrophilic hydrophilic component, that it will allow or try to diffuse the water soluble substance or water, and this tail will be hydrophobic component, hydrophobic hydrophobic component hydrophobic component. Now the here in this bilayer the proteins will be embedded either as channel proteins, let us suppose this is channel protein or protein channel, and this is throughout the membrane, this extension is throughout the membrane, some will be only few extension like that will pass throughout the membrane thickness. It is called as the integral protein, integral protein, and this will be your peripheral protein, peripheral protein. And here in these proteins here might be chain of here might be chain of carbohydrates, chain of carbohydrates carbohydrates carbohydrates, and there also may be like cholesterol, choles- cholesterol. These these are the major component of the cell membrane. Cell membrane and the function, everyone has the different functions. I will be mentioning that functions in the transport mechanism. And normal thickness of this normal thickness of this membrane will be like 7.5 to 10 micrometer, 10 sorry nanometer, 10 nanometer. This is postulated thickness of this cell membrane. Cell membrane. So various characteristics this cell membrane possesses, and that characteristics are applicable in the transport through that membrane. Transport through that membrane. So let's move into the transport through cell membrane proper. So in transport, first of all, let's classify the transport mechanism across the cell membrane. First will be there will be mainly two types of the transportation across the membrane, that is passive transportation and active transportation. Passive passive transport, and here will be active transport. As the name suggests, this passive transport will not consume or require energy, ATPs, but this active transport will use energy or direct ATPs or indirect. One pump, let's suppose for example, one in active transport there will be secondary and okay, I will discuss later when that comes. Do not consume so much time. Passive transport, again this will be divided into diffusion, and next will be osmosis. Osmosis. This diffusion is again further divided into simple diffusion, and facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion. And here will be primary active transport, primary active transport, then will be secondary active transport, secondary active transport, and one more type is vesicular or bulk transport. So I will discussing one by one all these mechanisms. At first, when you will be asked to write the short note or long question on transport through cell membrane, first you should classify this transport mechanism, and then according to the marks If short note, only definition and example, and if there are if that is asked in long question, also briefly describe that mechanism. So let's move one by one. Now at first I will talk about diffusion. Diffusion. In diffusion, first I will talk grossly diffusion, and then I will differentiate simple and facilitated diffusion also. So what is diffusion?